Hi, this is Johnny. This video is going to talk about how I create the WAM list and game list. So, for example, I have to create some kind of like a game description and some. This is a Mega Drive. This one is a little bit more complicated because I have to also zip it up. So what I did is I take all the original game and I rename it back to this. Okay. Now this one is called uh, the gameless or NES gameless. Okay. That's where I first started. I started with NES and tried to come up with a way to do this. Now, how did I get this list in the first place? Is because I already have one called the games.ini. And I just copied the game.ini over here and he grabbed those two fields from here and put it over here and grab this one and put it over here. Okay. Now let me take that back. Grab this one first and put this one first, the ROM game. So and then it added the zip file. So if you look at the formula, it's pretty long. And what this does is it go from, let me go to the top. It's easier to understand. The number is not that big. C1 is over here and B and B B is over here. If you count this, this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this video is going to explain to you what each formula does and how could it be benefit you. Okay, so this one is more like a gameless. Gameless is meaning that you take my game INI and create it. Let me get rid of this empty sheet. This one is using the RetroArt game list and generate the list for you. So you would take a game list from RetroArt, and create it the game list for you. Now in the future, if we ever have uh, a RetroArt, which I don't think we will be using RetroArt's setup, but if we do, I believe you could take the game list and convert it back to this. Okay, because I believe I could do that now because I know how to create a formula now. But anyway, let's go back to this. And so it will create the physical ROM and then the description because I have a description on all my game lists. So that's nice to have because if you already have it, you don't have to create it. Okay. But if you don't have it, then yeah. Like for example, if I let's just say Game Boy Advance, I don't have a list. I have to create the now one thing good about all the home console is they do have a lot of space. Okay, and they already have a description. All the game have a very detailed description, but you have too much space, too much like bracket and the in symbol. It will take dash and underscore, but it won't take those special character. You have to physically remove them. And I'm trying to think about creating a formula that will remove everything for you, and then you just put in now put in the stuff and do it for you. So that's another list. That one is called the rename the NES. This one is rename the NES PNG to JPEG. I should delete all that description. It's actually creating folder and move it to a folder. Okay. So what this does is you could put down the ROM on column A and column C. Okay. So column A, column C, let's just make them a color pattern. So you know this is a two column that you need to put the data in. So you just pretty much like delete it and just press delete and you delete this whole thing and delete that and put a new one. So what this is doing is this is going from here to here. So I'm taking my physical name. For example, when you download it, you get a physical Sega Genesis MD. and I want to rename it to a special name. And this is the name I use for the image folder, the game image folder. And so I want to keep it as an empty, so I know that when I put all the game in here, that will have a correct. I didn't put my ROM in it back in. Let me put my Neo Geo arcade stick in here so we can look at it. Okay, so what I did is in the ASPH, in the games folder, this is all the pictures. Okay, and what I did is I put all them together. For example, let's do MD. Okay, so I name it all in MD. So in the future, if I don't want those and I want to save space, I could just highlight everything from here to here and delete it. Okay, and in here is the physical name of this one, See that? So the Three Ninja is a physical folder name as this one. So I kept this and this two name the same, so it's easier to find. Now the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo, and I bet Game Boy as well, do not use the same physical name. They actually use the physical name here, and then the ID number is used over here. So it's a little bit more complicated than before to make this thing work. Okay, so this is the ROM folder. You have to change the physical name to call it cover.png, and they have to be a particular size so it will fit nicely and not look kind of funny. So it's 175 by 250. You don't want to use a paintbrush if it's a 3D image. If you save it, you lose the transparency of the background. Transparency means so it's a 175 250. That's how I use on my images. Okay. So those are the size for all the 3D images. Different console had different size images. All right. So you just have to see what I use, and then you just follow the same pattern. Okay. So that's why I'm going to redo the RK. I'm going to put maybe like FBA for RK, and then for CPS, I'm going to put CPS for Capcom. I'm going to put CPS. So that way I could find them, because if you have it all like this, like Super Nintendo, I had to redo it, so they will be actually called SMC in the front instead in the back. Okay, and like all this RK, you don't know, is it RK or is it Final Burnout, or is it Neo Geo? You don't know. You don't know until you go in there and then you look at the picture. Yeah, view the picture. You say, oh, this is a Neo Geo. It's not RK. Okay. What did I have this here? I don't need that. Okay. So, and we don't need this one either. That's from the old version that they bring over from the Neo Geo Mini. I think they added this because they want to use a HyloStick, which is USB, and put it into the Neo Geo Mini and able to use it. And that's what I think they are working on there. I'm not sure they finished yet, but I got a feeling that they're in the process of getting that done soon. All right, so you could take this flash drive, put it in, plug it into Neo Geo Mini, and you should be able to load the game as well. So that's what they're working on, which will be cool. Then you don't have to do double work. All right, so that's about that image folder. So the hack folder, what I did is I went and put it in the Mega Drive like they did. Okay, and this is a physical file that I rename it to. So this batch file is to rename the file from physical name to a different name. So you put in the original file name of the ROM, and then you say I want to change it to this, the way this look, and then you go look for, then you go to look for the one you, like this one will remove, uh, this one will remove the physical name. Like after I finish renaming everything, I don't want those anymore. I want to physically remove it. I want them to physically delete. Now this one you have to have a zip file, otherwise you lose the part of the the ROM information. I can't scroll over because my recording is on the right side. All right. So what I did is I used this one, the one all the way down the back. Okay. So what this one says, take this file, the physical file, put it into a ROM folder, and name it to a new name called MD. Okay. And then you have to have a yes, because otherwise it's going to ask you, is this a file or is this a directory? So right here, I remind myself, inside this folder, yes, dot text. It could be a D or it could be a F, depending on what you're doing. Like this one now is a file, so you're going to say F. If it's a physical directory, like we were looking at the game image, then you want to put yes inside. You want to put a D to make this work. Okay. So I use this one to rename the file. Once everything is renamed, then I use the third one, and I'll demonstrate this one real quick, show you how to use it. Like I will go ahead and delete this and put in the list of all the Super Nintendo in here, and it will create that for me. Uh, so the third one I use is the one is real cool that I just created. Okay. So what you do is you could grab and put the physical file all in here, and right here it tell you on the side, say B column is for game description, and column D is all your physical name of the ROM. Okay. Column E is the ID name of the ROM for ROM information. So if you go to ROM information, this is what I'm talking about, the ID name right there. This physical ID name, and then this is the ROM path. Okay. So you want to tell it that I want to point to this name. Now, say Mega Drive use the same name here and here. Okay. But the Nintendo one doesn't, and Super Nintendo doesn't. Okay, so you have to have a separate ID name and then a physical name you're gonna put here. Okay, so this one is gonna be the ID name. This one is gonna be the physical ROM name that you need to copy. This one is easy, just copy from directly. You do a directory like you do over here in the DOS. You say, let me see. You say this is what you do. You say directory, give me all the name in a sideway so it won't display the date, and then put it into a text file. The uh, the greater sign. What is this? Less than or greater? That's a greater sign. To a game list. Okay. And then when you press enter, it's going to take all this information and put it into a game list. Then you could open up the game list. Then you could sort it out in alphabet order and then put it here. Okay. And then this one will automatically take this and then you will have to copy this and paste it here. But normally what I do is I use the other game list to take out the zip file and put it into just a description without the zip. Okay. And then here I have another formula in the other side that created the MD, and what I want to do is create a formula that will actually shorten the name for me. Okay, this one I physically already changed the name, so I can use my own name from like from my list, so I don't have to create. Now, if I'm doing a brand new one like Game Boy Advance or Game Boy, I will have to physically that's what I did. I physically rename it by doing the Notepad plus plus like find and replace. So I do find, replace. If you find a parenthesis, replace it with underscore. And then we move the closing parenthesis, and that's why this parenthesis disappear. So those are the stuff that I did on this one, gameless. Okay, right here. Okay, I removed the parenthesis. There's no parenthesis here. Okay, this is a description. This is a physical ROM, and this is the new name. I want to name it without a special parenthesis and no space. So those are the new name that I name. But the NES do not use this. The NES actually only use this. But I also have to create it. So you can see NES. I have two different folder here. I have to create an NES ID. Okay, the ID one is require the NES in front of it. So this is a ID. It took this. It took the old original information and rename it to this one. This is the old information. So we rename it to this one. There's a lot of steps that you have to do. I want to create one where you don't have to rename. It will rename it for you. You know, like you just put one in here. Now I won't create that until I do a different brand new console, because right now I do have the list for the physical name and I just need to add a MD in front of it. That's it. So in a new one, I will have to do this. So I want to able to create a formula where it will actually, when you copy this down, you actually create the description plus the ID for you. So you could just copy all three of them in here, and then it will generate the ROM list. Now, let's talk about this a little bit. Just tell you what's so unique about this one. When you drop the game, once you have the description, the physical name, and the ID, it will create all this for you without the extra space. So that way it won't be so long. And you're gonna say, okay, so what's the difference other than the space you deleted? It actually create everything. For example, if you put in a game list, you don't have to stop at 100 now. Now, if you go all the way down, you see how far I'm going to 200. So let's just say if the ROM is 900 or 1000, and you drop it in here, see, it will take, I think it take up to 2000 file. See, you create, it will take anything you just drop everything in here. You don't have to, before you have to like, oh, I have to only copy 500 and you have to keep track of how many you drop. You could drop as many you want, or you could just do one file. Okay, one file will this will work also. Then it will create all this. See, this list is pretty long. Okay, see, even go to 4000. So it automatically create the whole list for you. So what I did is it created the whole Sega Genesis 950 ROM for me. Okay. Yes, I'm bringing. Somebody asked me, am I bringing all this over to from the old hack to the new hack? Yes, all the ROM that I had given to you guys in the past, he was going to convert it to the new version. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that any game be missing. See, all this is it created ID and a Mega Drive and this for you. Now the next question is, well, before we used to stop at 100, how that goes? See, I created game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4, and game 5 for you. So you come in here and you say, okay, this is my game 1. Okay. So game 1 doesn't give you an option to change it. It goes from 0 to whatever how much you put in there. So if you put 950, you're going to get 950. Well, it started with a 0, so you will get a 949 because it's start with a 0. So my last one was, let's check, went down too low. Here we go. 949, like I said. See, I put a number here, 950, so you know this is actually 950. But because we start with a 0, it's 949, okay? And that's not the reason I put that there. There's a reason for this, okay? So don't change anything here. You just copy all this and put this in your game list number one, okay? So let's just say if you want to put, you're not going to put 949 because your system would not boot up, okay? You have to start with less than 450. If you put more than 450, your system is going to load very slow. If you put more than 500, it won't load at all. It probably will just crash. You want to pick an alphabet order. Just say you want to stop at, let's pick a number that is more reasonable. Let's say you want to stop at F. So you're going to look for the last E, F. Okay, let's just say you want to start with F. Okay, so you want to go from a pound sign to E. Okay, and you want to start with F. So F is 250. Okay, so you come over here to game number 2 and you type in 250. Now 250 is going to automatically start with an F, correct? So I'll put 250, enter. Now you say, wait a second, 250 you show an E. Why is it showing E? Because you did not pick the right number. You cannot pick this number because why? Because it starts with a 0, remember? So you need to pick this number, 251. Oop, 251. Okay, so that's the number will actually point to the F. You put 250 is this one. Okay, so let's go back to this and you put 251. But at least you know this is E and this is the first one of the F. So you kind of could see it. If you're not sure, you could change back and forth. It doesn't harm anything. All right, there you go. Now it start with F, and you see it start with a 0, 1, because the new game list needs to start with a 0, not with 251. You have to start with a 0, 1, and 2. So now you take this and you copy it into your game list number 2, and then you do the same thing for game number 3, and so on. Okay, game number 3, for Sega Genesis, I want to start with an S, so I put down 662. Now if I put 661, let's see what would that happen. See, start with the last one was R, and the one I want to pick is the S. So I want to start with 662. So 66. So that's how easy it is. And you're just going to copy the one you want to stop. So you're just going to copy. Now, when you're doing number 3, number 4, number 5, it asks you, please check the game list, the game INI for the right number. Okay, because you cannot go by this number here. You got to go by the original. So original is which one? Game list 1. Okay, so if I want to find the S, I need to scroll down to find that number S, because this one have the whole thing. This one have the 951. You're gonna go and look for the S. Okay, there's the S, and you're gonna look for the first S. And first S should be 662. So I'm gonna go up faster. Okay, that's 68. Okay, so this one is 662. Okay, so this is the one I want to use, not 661, just 662, because this is the first one of the S. So you're gonna pick that number 662, then you go to your game list 3, and you type in 662. Then you get the first one. Okay, so that's how you get number 3 and number 4 and number 5. Because number 4, number 5, they tell you, please check game list number 1 for the right number. Okay, same thing here. Number 2 it doesn't, because number 2 you pick up whatever the last one you use, and so whatever last one you use, you are going to put that next number into here, and that's how you will get it. So you are already referring to game number 1 already, because you are using game number 1 to continue game number 2. So that will be the same way with number 3 and number 4, number 5. You have to refer to game number 1 to get the number to put it in. So now you could generate a new list starting to whatever alphabet you want, and you could create up to number 5. I don't think you want to create more than 5 because that would be very, very long. So that's one thing cool about this game list is you are not restricted now of how many you could put into the game list. You could put as many as you want, okay? And it will automatically generate the list for you. And I think the next one I'm doing is going to be 1,425, and we're going to test that to make sure this all work. So this is a brief introduction of this thing right here to let you know how this is done. And later I'm going to show you the next clip. I'm going to show you how to actually do it, so you guys have some idea how to do this, not just introduction to this. Okay, but yeah, this is pretty cool. You just copy all this and you put it into the right here. I have one folder. See right here, I'm waiting for my NES. I delete everything from the old WAM list, and this is the beginning, this is the end. So for example, this is the end of Sega Genesis, and this is all the Sega Genesis that I copy over. And it's pretty long, it's all the way up from the beginning. I like to put a title on top so I know where the game start, when it end. So that way, if I want to delete it, they're all in the same place. So like this 950. So if I want to delete all this, I just keep on going till I see the one say like this end. So it'll be end of Sega Genesis, and then I just paste it in. So that list we see right here, this is what you get in it from here. You just copy that and paste it to here, to your notepad. So you don't really have to type this one by one, it automatically do all this for you. And same thing with game list. Game list number 1. Okay, 0 to pound sign. It create this for you. And this would be game number 2. See Genesis on my left corner that I'm moving my mouse around. This is Genesis 2, Genesis 3. And this one I don't think, yeah, it's Genesis 4, but this is for the CD. So that's how you create those WAM game lists and WAM lists. Okay, so make the creation very easy, very quick. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video because it's already 28 minutes just to do introduction. So I'm going to break it up into several different parts to it. So that way you get to get a brief understanding of what this does. And then I will start to show you live of what I did to make it happen. So that way it will be less confusing for everybody how all this come together. Okay. All right, so I'm going to end this and continue watching the next video, and I will show you how I did all this.